every year there's a crazier story in the transfer portal. I mean, it feels like every week at this point. So Darian Mensah, who's the quarterback for Duke, they're actually the ACC champions, Duke Blue Devils. He had a $8 million 2-year NIL deal, giving him around $4 million a year. That's closest to the Carson Beck number last year for Miami. Well, he just hopped in the transfer portal, apparently because Miami is doing some tampering and offering even more money. This dude has been an absolute beast of a player. Let's go through his stats real quick. Stats are as follows: 3,973 yards. That was second in all of college football. 34 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 76.6 rating, and he has some absolute throws of balls. And again, ACC champion, real big boy stuff, big time stuff. He's going to be a top suitor and I think becomes the #1 player in the entire draft. Barry Jackson says, and quite naturally, Duke's Darian Mensah informs Duke today that he's entering the transfer portal on the final day anybody can. So this was literally Friday, the last day the portal was open. He jumped in the portal. Naturally, Miami is in hot pursuit. Kane's determined to acquire a top free agent quarterback. So if the rumors of Miami breaking off roughly $10 million and violating a number of binding legal agreements turn out to be true here, then this may be a big moment for our sport. Would actually be surprised if Miami and Duke do not end up in cover over this. So this is, I think a lot of times we talk about, or a lot of times I've talked about stories that like, this is going to end college football. And a lot of that is just kind of being silly and blah, blah, blah. This could genuinely end college football. Like, this is, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you a story. I need to tell you. And the craziest part about it is Darian Mensah actually committed. He put out a whole commitment video saying that he was going to stay with Duke. But that's not important. I want y'all to remember that Xavier Lucas, defensive back that started in Wisconsin, he's going to be playing for Miami in the second half because he actually got targeting. He got ejected. But he was, I think, the first real story of this where he entered the transfer portal, and Wisconsin wouldn't let him enter the transfer portal because he just signed a binding NIL deal to Wisconsin. The NIL rights belong to Wisconsin. So him trying to drop in the portal, right, is that so? And Miami also has, it's the same school, so Miami has the track record of tampering with players while they're in the portal and while they're before they even get into the portal. Because obviously Ty Simpson had a story about him getting offered money from Miami and Tennessee and those types of things. So Duke now it falls victim after paying one of the highest paid quarterback contracts in NIL. It seems like there's going to be a closer to $6.57 million number. You have Xavier do that, right? Now you have Darian Mensah do that to the same team, Miami. What type of bags are being thrown around in Miami? Everybody's talking about Texas. You know what I mean? Texas Tech. But this is 2 years in a row now. Now, this is a big, high-profile case where Miami is linked to somebody tampered in the portal. And this is how you know it's crazy, because this is literally what he posted.
This year was everything to me. This team, this locker room, this family welcomed me with open arms. We fought from the first day I got here. We dove headfirst into this year with one goal in mind. And when the odds were against us, we kept fighting. Heading into Death Valley, heading to Charlotte.
Fires, Higgins, he'll take it! Here's Mensah for the touchdown!
And I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. The memories from this year, I'll cherish forever.
Mensah to throw, fires downfield, got it! Touchdown! All day, end zone shot, he's got it! Touchdown! Right on the left, he's got it! What a strike!
The accuracy of that football, David, it could not have been better.
And with that, I decided to take my talents. Nah, I'm just playing. Let's run this back.
So we gotten to the point that these people, these players are making these grandiose returning XYZ. You had obviously with Colorado and Jordan Seaton. Jordan Seaton used a graphic that was supposed to be for him returning, and he used it to announce that he was leaving. This one, Darian Mensah announces that he's returning, and this is what I mean. You don't enter the transfer portal in the last 3 days for Jordan Seaton. And for Darian Mensah, the last day of the portal. You don't do that unless someone has money. especially because Darian Mensah is one of the most well-paid quarterbacks, deservingly so. Apparently, I mean, he had a great season. That means somebody backed up the Brinks truck. This is why there needs to be a commission. There has to be a cap on this. If players in college football start making $10 million a year to play college football, what is the point of playing in the NFL? Like, I think what you're going to start seeing is the relationship with the NFL and college football become even more spaced apart. Because I think here's the thing. The NFL makes billions of dollars. The NCAA makes plenty of money too. What if this is all a part, allowing this portal to go this crazy, allowing NIL money to flow like that? What if it's all a part of having higher level football? Because you get Indiana's, right? They're all 24, 25. You get these old players that get to play 6, 7, 8, 9 years, right? Which means you get higher level football, right? You get players that stay in the same place, hopefully longer, or in football longer, so people want to watch them longer, right? That all goes towards the media rights. At this point, I have to assume that's the reason why the NCAA allows these things to happen. There's no way he signs a binding deal and now he's in the portal. How does that work? How do they even allow him to do that? So let me talk to a few things. So sources. This is Pete Thamel. This is the big dog in college football. If quarterback Darian Mensah were to leave Duke, it's the school's understanding that his contracts call for them to have his exclusive NIL rights, and only Duke has the ability to cancel them. So again, just like the Xavier Lucas situation where he signed a binding contract, and in all realism, in all realistic ability, right? If I understand it right, that means that if he goes and gets paid by Miami, that has to be from Miami or first up, because it can't be an NIL contract, right? Because he signed over his deal, his rights. A legal entanglement over a Duke's NIL deal with quarterback Darian Mensah must be resolved before a potential transfer to Miami. Mensah announced he will enter the transfer portal less than a month after pledging to return to Duke. So in his second year deal with a $4 million annual contract, he's expected to sign with Miami. Like most rev share contracts, Duke's deal prohibits another university from using Mensah's NIL, a legal entanglement that must be resolved. So I don't know how that gets resolved. I really don't know how it happens. In the Xavier Lucas situation, they still haven't gone to court about the situation. I think this is going to be a similar situation where they just kind of kick the can down the road. Miami finds a way to pay him under the table or give him a scholarship, however they see fit, right? And is it going to be a situation like that Georgia Missouri player, the transfer from Georgia, where they're going to make him pay the $4 million back? Like, this is nasty, dog. So again, that's where that original tweet comes back, where the rumors are that the only way Miami can get out of this is if they pay for the contract. So you're going to pay $4 million that's owed to them from Duke, and then you have to pay him, I guess, $6.5 million, $7 million. Like, at what point do these teams just put themselves in bad situations, right? And here you have Darian Mensah linking up with Cam Ward as well. This is just such a crazy situation. I don't know how it escalates this quickly, but here's a little recap there from the guys on TikTok.
Miami might have just tampered and gotten their quarterback for next year just hours before the transfer portal closes. Friday night at midnight, portal's done, and Miami was looking at having to use this year's backup as their starter next year. But then glass break. Right before the portal closes, Darian Mensah decides to enter the portal, and Miami's the school to watch. Now, early Friday morning was the news. Duke is concerned that Mensah may hit the portal. Then Friday afternoon, Pete Thamel tweets that if Darian Mensah leaves, it's the school's understanding that his contract calls for Duke to have his exclusive NIL rights, and only Duke can cancel that. Understand, Miami has no other options at this point. All the top quarterbacks who were already in the portal have already signed. They even offered Ty Simpson $6.5 million. He still went pro. So allegedly, they just made Friday afternoon a Godfather offer to Darian Mensah, paying him $10 million for this year, country club housing, an Adidas deal and campaign, and even giving his sister a full ride. She's a soccer player at Oregon. And what do you know? Just hours before this portal closes, Darian Mensah says, all right, I'm going to enter the portal. So obviously, he's about to commit to Miami. We're about to be staring down the barrel of another legal battle between Duke and Darian Mensah, similar to what we saw with Washington and Damon Williams. For now, Mario Cristobal has his guy, but man, is this going to be a fascinating last few hours of the portal. Miami might have.
That's a really good point. The Desmond Williams situation at Wisconsin, it ultimately got resolved because of the legal entanglement, right? Is that something that can happen here with Duke, where I just don't see Miami not putting up that money to get it done if they're that desperate to have him, and especially him going and entering the portal at the last second. This is just such a crazy situation that, again, I would like more people to be focused on the Xavier Lucas situation, because I think what's going to happen is nothing at all until a few more years with some legal battle. This is just absolutely nutty. Y'all let me know how y'all feel down below in the comments.